Hi everyone, I am Dan Kenneth Esquadro and today I will discuss the miscellaneous provisions and harbor relations related to customs in CMO or Customs Memorandum Order number 22 series of 2010, or also known as the Revised Customs Port Operations Manual. Miscellaneous provisions. Section 20, Certificate for Quarantined Cargo. When cargo manifested for any port in the Philippines is retained on board the importing vessel by order of the quarantine officer or any other officer authorized to issue such order, the customs inspector on board verifying said cargo shall make a certificate of constructive lading as to the bill of lading. Section 21. The use of boarding watercraft. The customs senior boarding officer shall not permit anyone to go with the customs boarding a watercraft upon departure from the pier except customs inspectors and customs guards duly assigned to vessels to be boarded. Customs inspectors and customs guard assigned by the chief, base service section or its equivalent office to substitute for absent personnel, and those especially granted in writing by the chief, Pierce and Inspection Division or its equivalent office, may be given the privilege to use the boarding watercraft. Section 22. The Baggage Declaration Entry. Baggage declaration properly accomplished by incoming passengers shall be presented to the customs inspector on board or to customs examiner or appraiser upon boarding of the vessel. It is required that an itemized enumeration thereon of the articles obtained abroad showing quantity and the corresponding invoice price should be made in the baggage declarations. Articles, wares, goods, merchandise, and any other cargo acquired abroad not so declared shall be liable to seizure and subject to the penalties of the customs law. Section 23. Vessel clearing for foreign ports applying for bunkers. The customs inspector on board of a vessel clearing for foreign ports and applying for bunkers shall require the master thereof to transmit together with his application the usual affidavit containing the following. First, the name and nationality of the vessel. Second, the amount of fuel available on board for its propulsion at time of entry. Third is vessel's daily consumption of oil at sea. Fourth is the vessel's daily consumption of oil in port. Fifth is the port or ports of call during the voyage and duration of vessel's stay at each port. Sixth is the amount of bunkers applied for. Section 24. Unloading of cargo by distressed vessel. A distressed vessel in port desiring to unload cargo for the duration of the vessel's sojourn there, it may be issued a permit to discharge her cargo upon written request of the master or agent, approved by the collector of customs under such terms and conditions he may deem proper. If the cargo's discharge will be cleared or entered in the port where they are discharged, the unloading of this class of cargo shall be subject to the same rules and regulations prescribed for cargoes destined or the port, unless authorized by a shipside discharge permit. Such cargo shall be discharged unto the pier. If discharged into lighters, such lighters must be closed type and must be secured, locked and sealed with customs seal, and must remain under guard until final disposition thereof is made. Section 25 is the ship's mail. Ship's mail shall be examined as they are being towed from the ship, and all mails addressed to persons other than the agents of the vessel shall be delivered to the mail clerk. Any dutiable articles or merchandise other than mail found in the mailbags shall be subject to duties and taxes or seizure. Section 26. Laborers and ship's laundry. All stevedores, laborers, and other persons of similar status shall be thoroughly searched by or under the immediate supervision of the customs inspector on board. Upon their leaving the vessel, a person found with pilfered articles or those not authorized for discharge in his person shall be arrested. Section 27. The Seizures. The customs inspector or customs guard making seizures shall deliver to the owner or claimant, and if unclaimed, to the master of the vessel, a receipt or describing the articles seized. He shall forward immediately the articles seized together with the seizure report and transfer note to the chief, Pierce and Inspection Division or its equivalent office. Section 28. Arrest. Upon searching a vessel or any person on board thereof, the customs inspector or customs guard on board is authorized and is required to search, arrest, and even detain, conformably with law, or any person found committing act or acts contrary to the law. When a person is apprehended under such circumstances, the customs inspector or on board shall conduct an informal investigation, after termination whereof the person arrested together with the evidence shall be turned over the Enforcement and Security Service or the ESS for appropriate action. Section 29 is small boats alongside vessels. Small boats authorized by the PPA to engage in ferry services may be permitted to come alongside the vessel. A customs guard shall be stationed at all times while a small boat, launch, or any watercraft is alongside, and it shall be thoroughly searched before being permitted to depart. Section 30. Customs guard for vessels lying alongside. A customs guard shall be detailed by the customs inspector on board of a vessel when another vessel is lying alongside, whose duty shall be to see that no contraband articles or merchandise is passed from one vessel to the other. This duty shall be arranged in rotation so that the vessel will be under continuous surveillance until its departure. Section 31 is heaving and anchor and sail. Upon receipt of a notice of clearance, the customs inspector on board shall allow the vessel to heave anchor and sail. But if for any reason the ship does not leave and remains in port for more than 40 hours after the time of departure indicated in the clearance, the master agent shall be required to secure from the customs clearance officer an extension of time for departure, without which the original clearance shall be no force or effect. Section 32 is the repair of vessel equipment. Upon the filing of a bond or underguard, Section 105 of the Tariff and Customs Code of the Philippines as amended, guaranteeing their re-exportation and approved by the Collector of Customs, the landing of sails, casks, chronometers, and other portion of the vessels equipped rent for the purpose of having them repaired shall be permitted. The customs inspector shall describe the articles or equipment to release in sufficient detail to enable easy and ready identification upon the return. Section 23. Conversion of vessel status. From foreign to coastwise, vessels of foreign status may be converted to coastwise status after the following requirements. Following requirements are fully complied with and submitted the Collector of Customs through the customs clearance as prerequisite to the issuance of clearance. 1. Certification from the concerned office of the Bureau that import entry had been filed and duties and taxes had been paid and were secured to be paid. Certification of conversion issued by the Maritime Industry Authority. Third is certification from the Chief, Pierce and Inspection Division and Chief Base Service Section or their equivalent offices, with the Enforcement and Security Service or ESS as member of the searching team that the vessel has been fully searched for contraband cargoes, indicating therein the results of the searching mission. Fourth is certification from the shipping agency attested by the customs inspector on board that all foreign cargoes are fully discharged from the vessel. Fifth is inventory list of ship stores and salons and crew declaration list shall be duly accomplished, signed by the master of the vessel and attested by the customs inspector on board. Such vessels shall be subject to continuous underguarding until final clearance is issued by the Office of the Deputy Collector for Operations. B. From coastwise to foreign vessels of coastwise status may be converted to a foreign status subject to the following requirements. First, certification of conversion issued by the Maritime Industry Authority. Second, duly processed export declaration or permits. Section 34, letters to collector. The Customs Senior Boarding Officer shall collect all letters in the vessel's possession addressed to the Collector of Customs and transmit them without delay to the Customs House. Section 35 is to refuse and garbage. No refuse garbage and the like shall be thrown and jettisoned inside any harbor more, especially while the ship is alongside piers. All damaged and rotten cargo shall be disposed of upon arrangement and permission of the Collector of Customs and at the area designated by said official or duly authorized representative after consultation with the Philippine Coast Guard and or the Department of Environmental and Natural Resources or the DNR. Section 36, Firearms Care and Use. Care should be exercised in the use of firearms. The unnecessary display of firearms is prohibited. An employee should remember that the law will hold him personally responsible for the results of the use of firearms by him. A weapon should not be drawn or used except in self-defense or to prevent the commission of a felony. Section 37, Instruction relative to discharging, withdrawal, and loading of empty container. Discharging of empty containers. The shipping agent prior to the discharge of empty container shall furnish the Customs Container Control Division or its equivalent office a copy of the approved sequence of discharge and a separate listing of empty containers to be discharged from the carrying vessel for monitoring and aging purposes. Second is withdrawal of empty containers. The shipping agent concerned shall present a letter request to the Chief Customs Container Control Division or its equivalent office for withdrawal of empty container from the pier. Once approved, the Deputy Collector for Operations, the Chief Enforcement Security Service, and the Chief Piers and Inspection Division shall be furnished copies of the request and the permit to withdraw issued. Third is loading of empty containers. Prior to the loading of empty containers on board carrying vessel, the shipping agent concerned shall apply for a special permit to load in the letter application made for that purpose at the Customs Container Control Division or its equivalent office. It shall be the responsibility of the Customs Container Control Division or its equivalent office to physically inspect every empty container brought into unloaded onto the port and to verify indeed the same is empty as represented by the concerned parties. Section 38. Instructions relative to the withdrawal of shut-out containerized export. First, the withdrawal of shut-out containerized export cargoes. All applications for the withdrawal of shut-out containerized export cargoes shall be directly filed with the Chief or its equivalent office. Spot checking of the contents of the subject containers shall be no longer be required, but instead, the following precaution measures shall be undertaken. A. The application to withdraw shut-out containerized export cargoes shall be accompanied at all times the following. First, certification of the shipping agent concerned attesting to such fact. Second is an equipment interchange receipt. And third is a copy of export declaration or permit and inquiry. B is the spot checking shall be confined only to determine whether the original shipping agent seal affixed after the staffing operation is intact. C is in case the containerized export cargoes are deliveries from CBW, which fact shall be indicated in the application. The same shall not be withdrawn unless accompanied by a customs guard who shall guard the same until the shipment is received by the assigned customs warehouseman or customs storekeeper at the customs bonded warehouse. Section 39 is shifting of cargoes. Shipping agents shall submit a written request for shifting of cargoes to the office of the Chief, Pierce and Inspection Division or its equivalent office, which in turn shall recommend its approval to the Deputy Collector for Operations. Section 40 is devanning, stripping, and staffing. Consignee shall submit a written request for devanning, stripping, and staffing to the office of the Chiefs, Pierce and Inspection Division or its equivalent office, which in turn shall recommend its approval to the Deputy Collector for Operations. Section 41. Direct-to-truck transfer. For direct transfer of container or cargo from vessel, truck, consignee, or customs broker shall submit a written request to the office of the Chief, Pierce and Inspection Division or its equivalent office, which in turn shall recommend its approval to the Deputy Collector for Operations. Section 42. Overtime permit. All requests for overtime work, Pierce and Inspection Division or its equivalent office, personnel other than those regular activities mentioned in this manual, shall be recommended by the Chief, Pierce and Inspection Division or its equivalent office and approved by the Deputy Collector for Operations. Section 43. Discharging of vessel sludge. All requests for discharging of vessel sludge shall be recommended by the Chief, Pierce and Inspection Division or its equivalent office and approved by the Deputy Collector for Operations. Section 44. Bunkering permit. All requests for vessel bunkering or refueling shall be recommended for approval by the Chief, Pierce and Inspection Division to the Chief Port Operation Service and AOCG. Section 45. Leisure and racing yacht. The boarding formalities shall, as far as practical, apply to leisure crafts, yachts, foreign fishing vessels, and local fishing vessels from abroad. This provision shall include all vessels arriving in the country that are participants of regattas or similar competitions. Fourth is harbor regulations related to customs. A vessel entering port. 1. All vessels entering any port of entry or coastwise in the Philippines shall show their colors and signal their official numbers or letters, and such signal shall be kept flying till the vessel is boarded by the proper officials. All vessels within 2 miles before arriving at designated quarantine anchorage shall display their aforementioned signals. 2. When mail is to be discharged, the vessel shall inform the port authorities by the prescribed signal at the earliest opportunity. B. I. Other special anchorage. Likewise, all other boats and watercrafts are prohibited to anchor or to linger around any vessel, whether moored at a pier or anchored in the harbor at a distance of less than 50 meters from said vessel, unless especially authorized by the Collector of Customs. Specific regulation. No empty lighters or carriers shall lie at night alongside a Philippine government pier or alongside a vessel moored thereto, nor shall empty lighters or carriers be attached to such pier or vessel by cables or ropes, or attached to load or partly loaded carriers which may be alongside or fastened to such pier or vessel. Empty lighters or carriers alongside or attached to such piers or vessel during daytime shall be removed therefrom before nightfall. Third, the provisions contained in paragraph 1 and 2 above thereof shall not apply to carriers partially laden with import or export cargo, to empty carriers which may have been prepared or which are preparing to receive cargo from a pier or vessel when delivery from a pier or discharge of a vessel during nighttime has been duly authorized. Fourth is any vessel or other watercraft in the Philippine harbor shall, when in case a sickness occurs on board, immediately hoist the regulation quarantine flag or the yellow, and keep the same flying until boarded and passed upon by an inspector of the quarantine bureau. The flag shall be sufficient sized and placed to be plainly visible.